Hey guys, welcome to the 716 Sports Entertainment Podcast, episode number 54, review of Monday Netflix Raw. I'm your host, Mike, joined with Mr. Sean O'Neill, and we are going to break down the show, give you guys our thoughts and opinions on everything that went down, because there was a lot. This was actually a pretty packed episode of Monday Night Raw. There's really a lot to talk about here. But let's get right into it. The show opened up with Roman Reigns coming down, and he didn't really get much out before he was interrupted by Bronson Reed and Paul Heyman, who also again didn't really have much to say. But when Bronson Reed invoked his father and his uncle's name, it immediately pissed Roman off and led to what's going to be an Australian street fight at Crown Jewel this weekend. So I was kind of a little disappointed that this was the direction that they went, that we're just going to do this match again in kind of a Australian street fight, Donnybrook, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's just another way to call it a no DQ match.
Yep.
But I'm kind of disappointed we're just going to do this match again. What are your thoughts on everything that happened?
I mean, all I can think is that it's just a way to get Roman on the card. And especially with everybody else from the Vision storyline basically tied up in amongst everything else. I will tell you this, if Bronson Reed doesn't win, um, I think that's a mistake. I think Bronson Reed needs to win this match. And I think that in order to really cement Bronson and by association Braun as these full on threats, you have to have him go over here. And I think the fact that it's a no DQ kind of street fight match gives you an out as to Roman eating a pin here.
Oh, see, I completely disagree. I think there's no way Roman Reigns loses. It's Roman Reigns. He doesn't lose PLE matches. They can beat him up again afterwards to write him off, but he's going to be at Survivor Series as well. So I don't know. Maybe you're right, but I just don't see it. I think Roman Reigns wins and wins easily.
The
Roman Reigns will sell for him, sure, but Roman Reigns doesn't lose.
the
So
problem I have with Bronson not winning is that it completely tears down everything you've been trying to do with him, with having him get these pins all the time. It seems like it's him a lot of the time getting the pin. You're building him up as this monster, and I think if he doesn't win, you might as well send him back to NXT because he can't win the big one at that point, the one that really matters.
I don't know about that. They obviously trust him enough to put him in a match with Roman Reigns.
I
I
think he
mean,
has to win. And I'm gonna when we do our prediction show, you will think me crazy, but I am 100% picking Bronson Reed.
I do think you're crazy. I think there's no way Roman Reigns loses this match. I am, however, starting to turn after watching this show. I am starting to flip my opinion back to Seth, I think, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So yes, this was a relatively short segment. They had a pull apart brawl, and then it was just kind of like, it was what it was. I was kind of a little underwhelmed because I felt like we were promised much more, from Roman Reigns on this show, and he did help a little bit with a couple of backstage segments with the Usos. I don't know if you wanted to get into those now or like what your thoughts were.
I mean, that's just continuing the basic storyline of Roman wanting Jey to basically turn into mini Roman. Um, I think that once we get past Perth, you'll start to see this turn into like the full blown storyline. But like we've said the last couple weeks, having so many shows in such a short period of time really messes with your ability to tell a story.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it did definitely help to move the Usos Roman Reigns thing along a little
Yeah.
bit. And it's so weird now. Like you've got the Usos and Roman kind of back together again, but I feel like Solo's group has just completely fallen by the wayside. Like I know we briefly touched on it when we were talking about the SmackDown review, but what is going on with Solo's group? Like,
I
they're not a part of this at all, and like they're barely on TV anymore, and there's like five of them.
That's why I think they're doing these vignettes where they're sort of reintroducing everybody. And I think they're going to utilize that to re-bring them into whatever they have planned for the family tree over there. Um, I don't know if at some point it will merge its way back into um the whole bloodline or if they have something separate planned for them over there. I mean, hell, I'd be okay with in a couple months something coming up where they all need to merge back together anyway. Have Jey transfer over to SmackDown and have Jey attempt to take leadership away from Solo.
That could be interesting. I mean, that could be
Yeah.
like one way to do it to get those guys like back involved in things. But it kind of makes me feel bad because like Solo had such a good thing going for a little while there after Roman left. Like he was the big bad for a while, and I know he wasn't Roman, but like it just seems like all those guys just kind of completely fell by the wayside.
Well, when you're constantly having to have the same matches over and over and over, and then you drop your title to Sami Zayn like immediately. I mean, it's just the problem I mean, I've said all along, the problem with SmackDown is just the lack of star power over there.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So Roman was seen backstage talking to the Usos, as we mentioned. And, Jimmy and Jay were kind of like, oh, dude, we'll have your back at Crown Jewel. And Roman tells him, no, I don't need your help. You need to focus on you. And he was going on about how, why is CM Punk coming out later to speak? You should be out there speaking, saying you're next in line, handle your business for the title. And Jimmy obviously didn't like that. And then they had another segment, where Roman was like, hey, I know what's going on around here to Jimmy. So don't think it's, why is it a bad thing for him to be like me? Maybe he should stop, trying to be like you, and he might actually get somewhere. So they were, kind of planting some seeds of dissension there a little bit. But I don't know. I'm very curious to see where this whole Roman Jimmy thing goes because I kind of feel like right now they're trying to kind of push Jimmy out, and I don't really know like
Yep.
what you do with Jimmy, like when you push Jimmy out.
I don't think Jimmy actually gets pushed out. I think that he tries to play the voice of reason here for a while, and it's all going to hinge on whether or not they actually turn Jay heel.
Which I'm wondering if they're gonna do.
Right.
I
I don't
mean,
know if they're willing to pull the trigger on that, but
yeah, it's like he's sitting in like as like a gray area kind of character right now. Um, so this led into our first match of the evening between Becky Lynch and Maxxine Dupri, which was set up last week when Becky Lynch kind of attacked her backstage. And props to Maxine. This was a
yep.
great match. Like it was an absolute great match, and Maxine got a ton of offense in. She really looks like she's putting in the work. She did kind of botch that power bomb a little bit. Becky looked like she landed on the back of her neck, but she picked up the win as Becky, went to the outside and was gloating, and she got counted out. And I think that, they were trying to tell the story of like the Becky getting in the ref's face, so the ref kind of fast counted her at the end
Yep.
there, which I thought was fine. And props to Maxine. This was an outstanding match for her. It was the best I've ever seen her in the ring.
You're not wrong. This was Maxine Dupri's best match since she's been on the roster. Um, she looked good. Becky made her look good. I mean, yeah, she still looks a little bit off sometimes, but she doesn't get a ton of work. Um, and I think that ending was absolutely fantastic with Becky gloating outside the ring and the ref 100% fast countered her. And I think the fact that this is going to turn into a story of Becky thinking absolutely everybody is out to screw her is fantastic. And when it leads to her losing the title, it's going to be great. It's similar to what we were saying about like an unhinged Rollins. I think an unhinged Lynch in addition to an unhinged Rollins will be pretty entertaining.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. We also had the never-ending story of the Judgment Day versus Lyra and Bailey. This has been going on kind of indefinitely. And, Bailey was kind of, not teasing Lyra, but just kind of like trying to get her going. And Roxanne did beat Lyra, and then obviously Bailey and Raquel got themselves involved. And then similarly, after the match, I think the bigger storyline here was that backstage brawl that was going on when they were just kind of like beating the crap out of them, throwing them into all the stuff backstage. But I don't really know what we're doing here. Like, is this going to be a tag team match or like, I mean, we have to do a match between Bayley and Lyra. Like, that is what this is going towards. But like, what the hell are we doing with this? And like, why aren't we just let's pull the trigger on this already? Like, this has been going on for like a month and a half now.
So I think that this is going to turn into a tag match, like you mentioned. I think that I really liked them jumping the Judgment Day backstage. Obviously, that's not a Lyra thing. I guarantee you, Bayley was the one who instigated that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that Bayley and Lyra need to win.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know that they should be a permanent tag team again, but I think that has potential of Lyra playing the I don't know which Bayley is going to show up for these matches and kind of being like scared of what's going to happen could be entertaining. Um, but I've told you my thought on the Judgment Day. I think the Judgment Day women need to go over to SmackDown. I think Roxanne and Raquel would be better utilized helping to elevate the division over there because I mean, Roxanne has always been fantastic, but Raquel has, since working with both Liv and Roxanne, has really elevated her game.
Oh, for sure. I
And
completely agree with that.
the only problem is, I still don't think anything happens with the Judgment Day until we get the return of Liv.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I would agree with that, I think. It's just I don't know. It's got to happen sooner rather than later because so many of these characters, and as we saw with the other match that the men's portion of the Judgment Day had on here too, everything just kind of seems like it's in limbo, right? Like I'm gonna skip one of the matches here just to continue talking about the Judgment Day. But there was also a backstage segment between AJ Styles and the men's Judgment Day going, and they were all kind of picking on Styles, including Dom. And then, Dragon Lee showed up to kind of be like, we got your back. And then they found Penta to kind of do a 3-for-3 match a bit later on in the show. Um, but the same kind of thing here. I mean, this match was really just to build up Styles for his match with John Cena this weekend, but also like the men's Judgment Day, it's kind of the same thing too. Like we're in a holding pattern until they decide like that they're going to turn on Dom, right? Like because that's clearly what we're waiting for. Rusev did get involved towards the end of this match as he kind of tried to chase Dom away, which caused the faces to get the win. But I don't know if we're gonna go in the direction right now on Rusev and Penta, or like where we're going with this. We can have all these guys kind of floating around the mid card title, but I've said it 1,000 times on this podcast. We need to get that damn belt up, Dominic.
So I think we're gonna get a three-way sort of like thing going on with the Intercontinental belt. But I think if there's one way to describe WWE in general, probably a lot over the last like year or two, and that's holding pattern. You said that was you used that comment, and I think that is another thing that ties back to the fact that you have so many like of these shows and you have so many storylines that you're trying to tell that you have to break off when you have to do like specialty shows. Like you saw it over at the beginning of summer. You see it right now. And that combined with like the injuries interrupting like storylines,
Mhm.
um, I just it causes a lot of like undue like holding pattern, like you said, like where too much time is being taken to tell these stories because WWE wants to finish them regardless of how long it takes for somebody to either come back or for them to make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but
It's happened a
like
lot lately.
it has happened. I just feel like, you know what? It's at the expense of a lot of people on the roster, though, right?
Oh yeah.
Like Rusev is not getting anything from this. Penta is lucky that he's over. Like Penta is super over, and that helps him. but you should have pulled the trigger on Penta, right? And you had opportunities a while ago, and we talked about this when it was, Chad Gable and Sami Zayn, right?
Yep.
Like you should have pulled the trigger on Chad Gable. You absolutely should have pulled the trigger on him winning that IC title, and they
Hot
didn't.
take.
It was stupid,
Hot
And
take. Gable should have won the belt from Gunther at Mania, not Zayn.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't. You're not wrong.
WWE has a problem with that, though. They have so many stories that it feels like there would be like a smart diversion to this story that they could take, but they're so dead set on finishing how they have it written out that they're unwilling to make any changes to the script. Like when we like for instance the Sami Zayn and Chad Gable thing. You saw how the crowd got behind Gable. You saw how people were getting behind people. And I mean, we saw it with Jey Uso with the main event thing. They were actually willing to sort of give him a shot. Like flip the script on some of these things. And I get it. It's not the story you originally wrote, but when you see how the fans are reacting to something, or like God forbid they would have done it for Karrion Kross, like change the story. Be willing to make changes and make edits. You know what I mean?
And Karrion Kross is another good example, right? Because like initially it was just an internet thing with him, and I will give to the WWE's credit, and I think to AEW's fault. I like it that they don't listen to the internet crowd because that's all Tony Khan does, and that's why AEW is a mess.
You're right.
But at the same time, when people are over at live shows, that's a different story. Karrion
Yeah.
Kross started to get himself over at live shows. And, I mean, when guys are over with like the live show audience, you got to do something with them. You absolutely got to do something with them.
You got to pull the trigger while it's hot. Like these guys, people only have like, and I don't mean this as an insult to any of these superstar athletes, but everyone has a shelf life. I mean, you don't know when someone's going to suffer a catastrophic injury or they're going to tear their ACL or anything crazy. You know what I mean? Take
Absolutely.
take advantage of, and I don't mean take advantage in a bad way, but take advantage of their popularity when it's there. And like I said, all it comes down to the fact that they, and it's one thing I'll give AEW a little bit of credit, more credit for than WWE, and it's honestly more of a fluke than anything else over there. Is they, if someone starts to get hot, they will do things with them. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like I said,
To their credit, they will. And like Daniel Garcia is a good example of that.
yeah,
He got hot and they pushed him. They put him in a match with MJF. Yeah, you're absolutely
yep.
right.
And like I said, I don't know if this is a byproduct of the WWE writers' room just being so locked in on telling the story they want to tell that they aren't willing. Like, you can only get it out of this. Like, why are like Roman and Bronson? We don't need to be seeing them again, but they're insistent on telling this story of Roman and Bronson again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, you're not wrong. Like, but when are we going to pull the trigger on? And that's why I don't think Bronson's going to win because I think the one to beat Roman is going to be Braun Breaker, right? I mean, let's actually get into that now when we talk about this next segment because it was kind of like, all of the challengers to the men's title kind of standing in a row here a little bit. So CM Punk comes down to the ring, doesn't really get to say much before he's interrupted by LA Knight. They actually had a really good exchange, and LA Knight had some really good zingers, which I kind of liked. Then they were interrupted by the Usos, and they were all kind of going back and forth. I deserve the title. No, I deserve the title. So Jay took out LA Knight, and then CM Punk got in his face, and then Jimmy went to kind of block him, and then CM Punk laid him out, and then CM Punk left, which led to a tag team match between the Usos and LA Knight and CM Punk at the end of the show. But I'm just starting to think now, like it's It's gonna be Roman, isn't it? It's gonna be Roman and Seth.
I don't think so. I still think we're going to get back to Punk. I do think Punk had the best zinger with his comment to Knight about not winning the championship. The only person in the ring who didn't have a championship or something. I don't remember the exact wording, but his comeback to Knight. Um, I think that this is another case of WWE writing themselves into sort of a holding thing because they have so many legitimate number one contenders right now. I mean, we have four of them right now. We have Punk, we have Knight, we have Roman, and we have Jey. Roman's the only one who's only quasi involved in this story, and that's because he's too busy with the bronze. I think out of the three who were in this segment, all of them have a really good argument as to which one should be the number one contender. Um, I think Knight and Punk should have a shot at it before Jey, though. I think Knight's argument that he was the last person to beat Seth is
Yeah,
is worthy, but then I also think the fact that Punk still hasn't gotten his rematch from losing the title to the Cash-In is also a really worthy point.
mhm.
I think we're gonna get some sort of program between Punk and Knight for a little while. I'm not sure what we're gonna see with Jey, probably whatever's going on with the bloodline stuff. But I really do think they're gonna use I wouldn't be surprised if we see Roman Seth at Survivor Series if they don't, depending on what happens with the War Game stuff or whatever the next major thing is that they can have a title match at. Um, which would be what, Rumble is the one after?
Yeah, I mean, there's some Saturday night's main events in there, which I could see you doing a Seth LA Knight title match
Yes.
at one of those. Like, let's be honest here. I love LA Knight. He's not winning the title.
No.
And
And
you
you're right.
absolutely you could do him and Seth at one of those Saturday night's main events to headline the show.
He is the perfect person to be in a throwaway title match for a Saturday night main event.
Yeah.
If whereas your Punk and your Reigns both need to be at major PLEs.
Even Jey, even if Jey, I don't think Jey's going to win again either. And Jey's
Neither
another
do I.
one who could have the title match at one of those Saturday night's main events as well.
There's only two legit people to take it off of Rollins, and that's Punk and Reigns. And I
Or
still think,
and Breaker.
yeah, but I don't think Breaker takes it off of him. I think Breaker might screw him, but I don't think Breaker takes the belt off of him. I think Breaker takes the belt off of whoever beats Rollins. I think
Maybe.
Breaker is not your next champion, but your champion after that. I still think that the Bronze win the tag belts before anything else.
Which leads me to the point I made earlier. Now, Seth had a segment backstage with Becky who was like going nuts about her loss, to Maxxine. And he had a really great conversation with Paul where he was like straight up, what happens if I lose to Cody? And, he was initially Heyman was giving him, the promoter, like, oh, you're going to lose the locker room, you're going to lose the vision, blah, 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 blah. But then Rollins was like, dude, cut the bullshit. Like, what really happens? To which Heyman said, which was the best line in the whole show, you're going to
Yep.
make me ask myself why I chose you over Roman Reigns. And I was like, wow, that was such a good one. So I think after that, and after CM Punk saying that he was going to kind of leave Seth alone until the thing was done with Cody, because Cody's his friend, I, I think I think Seth is going to win. The Vision Braun Breaker will help him because they're not, they're going to protect Cody, obviously in defeat. But I'm completely changing my pick. Seth Rollins has to win this.
So that segment alone sort of reinforced what the argument that I was trying to make about Seth. You know what I mean? That why Seth needs to win because and I think it makes for a really cool throwaway line from Heyman to say that. I don't think that Cody needs the win, and I think for them to really cement what Rollins is trying to do with the vision and wanting to run everything and be the quarterback and determine what he say the next 10 to 15 years of WWE. I think that's why they need to lock him in as the win. Um, so I was you had me sort of leaning towards the Cody way, but this promo alone has me. I don't think, I mean, it would be cool to see him lose and then lose everything around him, but I don't think it's time for that yet. I still think it's too soon for that kind of thing to happen. I
No,
do think
that's
that's
going to happen
story.
later. Yeah.
Yes, that is 100% going to be the story. I just don't think that the time is right for that yet.
No, and I think it's going to happen when he loses the title to Punk.
Yeah. And you'll have Breaker and you'll have Bronson like leave him, and Heyman will leave with Bronson and Breaker. Um, I do think that, like you said, Braun probably gets involved in the match, which will allow Randy to get involved, and Heyman will probably try to screw with Randy, and I could see maybe Randy accidentally hitting Cody, something to further that storyline along. But there's a lot of outside variables to this match, to the main event, or what I'm expecting to be the main event of Perth. But I think that it's very easy to predict Seth at this point.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, they could throw us a curveball, but I just don't think it makes sense. And honestly, you're right. The thing you're right about the most is it doesn't hurt Cody because you know
No,
what's going to end up happening when we get to WrestleMania? Cody's going to be the main event.
yep,
Like, say what you want about Seth. That title that Seth has is still the secondary title. Cody's title is the title, and Cody is going to be the main event.
no matter what they try, they will never, unless they have somebody the caliber of John Cena, Roman Reigns, holding Seth's title. As great of an in-ring worker as Seth is, Seth isn't really the talk show person that like Cody and Roman and that are, who gets out there to the mainstream audience, not the wrestling fans who know Seth Rollins as Tyler Black from Ring of Honor, but your people who know that, oh look, that's Roman Reigns. He's The Rock's cousin. He was in Fast and the Furious with The Rock. That kind
Yeah,
of crap.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And and there is a possibility Roman Reigns does win that belt at some point, right? Like I could absolutely see it happening, but I don't know. I mean, it just seems like those two guys are going to have a collision course at some point, but I don't know. So before we talk about the main event, though, there was one other storyline that did get furthered on this episode, which was Rhea was not on this show, but Io and Kyrie had a match to which Kyrie won after Asuka interfered, and they just beat the tar out of Io during this match. So I don't love that because it leads me to believe that Io and Rhea are going to get the win in Perth, which I don't love because, like, I think it just ends the story if they win.
Yep. I think that I think Asuka and Kyrie are still going to win because I think you're going to see Kyrie finally embrace Asuka's um, abuse and her yelling Kyrie at her and all that, and realize that she can't get Io to come and join them the way that she wants. And I think that it's going to be some sort of miscommunication between Rhea and Io that ends up costing them the match, or they'll play up the fact that Io got her ass kicked by the two of them when Rhea wasn't there,
Mhm.
and that'll be like too much to overcome. I think Asuka is honestly doing the best work of her career. I think this is on par with her crazy long title reign because
I
she
love that.
is getting a chance here to like show off her personality here, and
Mhm.
just the way she bullies Kyrie Sane and the like and bullies everybody, like the way she was yelling at Adam Pierce and everything. I absolutely love it. I think it's hysterical. And honestly, the I know we know that Kairi Sane isn't the great. I mean, she's a good wrestler, but it'll be fun to see down the road once she finally turns back on Asuka and all that. I think it'll be this has the potential for some real great like long-term storytelling. And
Mhm.
honestly, I know that they're having this match because they needed to get Rhea on the card, but I'm really looking forward to the one-on-one match between Asuka and Io.
Oh, for sure. I think it's going to be great when they eventually have that match, which will probably happen, sooner rather than later. I bet we see it before the end of the year.
Yeah, I think that is the end game that I'm waiting for with this because you have two of the greatest women's wrestlers in all of wrestling, and they're gonna they're not even gonna have to talk because half the time you can't understand Asuka, and I don't mean that to be insulting, but they're not gonna even have to talk. What they do in the ring is gonna do the talking for them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It is going to 100% be on whatever PLE that ends up being on, it will be the best match of that PLE by a mile. So, so the main event saw LA Knight and CM Punk defeat the Usos after a fun bit of back and forth, although it was a relatively short match. But CM Punk ends up getting the GTS on Jey. And then LA Knight tags himself in to pick up the pin and, just obviously again furthering, everything that's going on there. But we kind of talked about this at length and there really wasn't much to say about the match. It was actually a very short match. It only went maybe like 5 or 6 minutes.
That's
Um,
surprising.
but this was a long episode of Raw though. Like it seemed like, I don't know, I didn't stay up for the whole thing, but it was almost 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, I missed the end of it myself. I do have a question for you though. With the way that they're treating this Punk and Knight thing, does Knight work as the heel? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're both faces, but one of them has to work like the heel side of the of it.
I think so. I think right now Punk is just the number one baby face on Raw.
Do they turn LA Knight straight up heel at some point here?
They should.
I mean,
I don't think
he's
they're going to. I think Jay, like of the three of them, Jay is the most heelish right now.
I just we've talked about this several times that WWE has a heel and face like equality problem, where they have way too many faces.
Well,
Oh,
yes and no. They have way too many faces at the top of the card, but they have way too many heels in the middle of the card.
do
All of
they
your
though?
Yeah, come on. Almost all of your heels are in the middle of the card. They do have a lot of faces. You're right. They have a lot of faces. But I think the bigger problem is you have no big heels. And the ones that you do have are not there or they're involved in other things. Like who's your biggest heel on SmackDown? Drew?
Yeah,
I mean, and Seth's group is a heel group, right? I mean, Rusev is I guess Rusev is a heel. I don't know. But
yeah.
you know what I mean?
They
So
need Gunther back.
yeah, they do need Gunther back. What do you
I
there's something like what are you gonna do with him?
so you showed me that picture on Sunday and asked me if I thought it was real. I saw some interesting things. I don't remember if it was yesterday or if it was today that while I was work that I saw it at but apparently the talk is that and everyone's favorite basement dwelling internet reporter claims this is true, but apparently the way that they're going to set up Cena's final match is via like a tournament. So people competing to see who gets the chance to retire John Cena. And that's how they're going to get Gunther into it. They're going to have Gunther come in and basically be like, oh, I retired Goldberg. I'm going to retire another one. And he's going to win the tournament and he's going to retire Cena. And I think that's huge. And I think that's actually a really good way of doing it, too. I like the idea of a tournament.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. I just I just have a feeling it's going to be Brock Lesnar again, and I don't want to see that.
They claim that it's not. Like they say that Brock is being saved to potentially be for like Braun and have Braun be the one who conquers Lesnar.
Now, what the hell was the point of the Cena Lesnar match?
So from everything I read, it was Cena wanting to build Brock back up as the Beast, and that so that he'd have that mystique again, so that somebody he could be used to put somebody over.
I don't love it.
Neither
I
do
just,
I. I honestly think. I think you and I both picked Brock to win, but I think Cena probably should have won the match, especially because and even more so if it ends up being Cena Gunther. Cena's not winning his retirement match, and it's the right call to not have him win his retirement match. Like they generally, when these guys retire, they put over the younger stars.
yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Gunther, right? Because like he's main event heel too, and he's not going to join Seth's group, obviously. But like Gunther should never be a babyface ever. I mean, frankly, Gunther should probably go over to SmackDown. But the
Yeah,
problem is the story that you have with Cody and Randy, right? Like honestly, I would be 1000% okay if Gunther was the one to beat Cody.
yeah, I would be okay with that. And you give Gunther another long run with that title.
Yeah. And you have
I will.
Cody can, take time off. He can chase. Cody's better chasing, I think, anyway. I like Cody better chasing.
I can agree with that. Um, I will say though, if we do get Cena Gunther, I think those will make for some fantastic promos.
Oh, yeah. Gunther's excellent on the microphone.
Like with his the
Problem,
way he talks about like the sanctity of the ring and all that. I think
the,
Cena's the perfect foil to that.
the problem is, though, Cena's only got like 4 or 5 more appearances. You know what I mean? So I don't think
Yeah.
we're going to get too many between them if we get like one.
If anybody can sell the match without Cena there, though, I think it's Gunther.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so that was Monday Night Raw. Really good episode. Furthered a lot of stories, and it really is making me look forward to the Perth show. So, what is your final rating?
I give it a 3.5. Long show, but good. The storylines and the furthering of everything they did was well worth it. The matches were fun. Definitely had some entertaining shenanigans going on, like Maxxine winning. Um, and I think that I'm I think the Heyman segment where he his line to Seth was probably, like you said, the best line of the night.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I mean, I've been rating a lot of these wrestling shows pretty piss poor lately, so I'm gonna go with a 4 for this one because I did really enjoy it. I didn't stay up for all of it, but I was actually, first thing in the morning when I woke up, I was like, I gotta watch the rest of it because it was a good show, and I didn't really skip anything because normally I find myself like skipping the garbage matches on SmackDown the next day.
Yeah.
Like I watched this thing from front to back and I enjoyed it thoroughly. So that was our show. Thank you guys so much for joining us as we reviewed Monday Netflix Raw. We will be back later on this week with our predictions for the show as I have to maintain my 3-point lead over these two jokers. And with that, guys, as always, thank you so much for joining us. Have yourselves a fantastic evening and take care.